These are the easiest potatoes in the world. I think I've made more garlic roasted potatoes than every other vegetable combined. I start with red potatoes, but you can really use any kind of thin-skinned potato, maybe about 2 pounds. If they're big potatoes, I'll cut them in quarters. If they're small potatoes, I'll cut them in half. Okay, a little olive oil, just drizzle it on. Coarse salt, I use kosher salt, but you can use sea salt or any kind of salt you have around. Lots of fresh pepper, give it a little spice. Now the secret to my potatoes. Really good garlic. I always try and find garlic that's very firm like this. It doesn't have a big sprout on it. You don't want to plant in your potatoes. You want a really good garlic. Peel 6 cloves of garlic. There's a lot of garlic in this meal, but when you cook garlic for a long time, it becomes really sweet. So it's not going to be too garlicky a meal. Now the easiest way I find to chop garlic is just to leave the tip of the blade on the board and run the knife back and forth and really let the blade do the work. Okay, go. Lots of garlic. Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to use my hands to mix up the olive oil, salt I've already put on it, the pepper. Okay, into the oven. 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. Oh, these are the garlic roasted potatoes, and they are seriously garlic. They're all crisp on the outside and delicious inside. It's like a entire kitchen. Hi, sweetie.
Ooh, that looks great.
That look good.
That looks great. Can I grab this right now?
What you've been dreaming of all the way home?
You want some wine?
I'd love some wine. That'd be fabulous. And a sprinkling of parsley on the top. Years and years and years, every time Jeffrey came home on Friday night, I would make roast chicken. And then one day I thought, I've got to be a little more creative than this. I want the house to smell great. And of course, I want to make chicken. So each time I challenge myself to make something new. I'm making chicken piccata, which is wonderful. I'm going to start with 2 chicken breasts. I'm going to do a coating for them. So they're sauteed in a lemon and butter sauce, which is so good. So the first thing I need is half a cup of flour, just all-purpose flour. Half a teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I'm just going to mix that all together. So that's the first part of the coating. And this can be dipped into 1 egg. Just mixed with a little touch of water. Just beat it all together. The next part of the coating is breadcrumbs. I use seasoned breadcrumbs, about 3/4 cup. Okay, I'm just gonna heat a little oil in the pan. Just a few tablespoons. And while that gets hot, I'm going to take the chicken breasts and pound them out until they get really thin. Sort of even. Chicken breasts, they're sort of thicker parts and the thinner and other parts. And this way, they cook more evenly and they cook really quickly. Rolling pin's a good basher. Some people have meat pounding things, but everybody has a rolling pin. I like them between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick. And just do it in 2 directions so it ends up smooth. Doesn't end up in ridges. Okay. So the first one goes into the flour. And just make sure it's coated all over. And shake off the excess into the eggs. The flour dries it out, and then the eggs make it so that the breadcrumbs will adhere. Breadcrumbs. Seasoned dry breadcrumbs. And right into the pan. Perfect. Just 2 minutes on each side until it's golden brown. Okay, that guy's done. Perfect. Now the next one. A little oil. Right into the pan. 2 minutes on each side. I wonder if this is going to replace Jeffrey's favorite roast chicken for Friday night chicken dinner. Oh, perfectly done. Okay, I'm going to put this on a sheet pan. Keep it warm in the oven, 400 degrees for about 10 minutes, right alongside the red onions. And then I'm going to make a nice lemon butter sauce to go with it. Oh, I think perfect timing. I think I just heard Jeffrey. The weekend starts now. Jeffrey's upstairs changing. The red onions are roasting in the oven. The buttermilk mashed potatoes are done, and now I just have to make the sauce for the chicken piccata. So the first thing I'm going to do is just wipe out the pan that I cooked the chicken in. And I'm just going to heat up a tablespoon of butter. So the chicken is warm in the oven, just keeping it warm in the oven while I just make a nice sauce for it. Okay, now I need a third of a cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. It's probably 2 lemons. Just gonna pour it right into the butter. Okay, now half a cup of white wine. Really nice dry white wine. Something I drink for dinner. Okay. Half a teaspoon of salt. Quarter of a teaspoon of pepper. And this is what I'm going to do with the lemon shells. I'm going to put them right in the sauce so you get the flavor of the zest. Just cooks together. So I'm just going to reduce this by half. It'll take about 2 minutes while I chop up some parsley and some sliced lemons to put on the chicken. So the onions, I have a little bit of vinaigrette left over from the marinating, which I always love to put on at the end. Just toss them all together. Oh, these look so good. That's gonna be wonderful. Okay, and then the chicken. Some of the piccata sauce. That looks pretty good. Some slices of lemon, so Jeffrey knows it's lemon piccata. A little bit of parsley. These roasted onions smell so good. I love the way they look. Who doesn't love mashed potatoes? And buttermilk mashed potatoes. Oh, your timing is perfect as always. Guess what's for dinner?
Well, let's see. It's Friday. Chicken, but what kind of chicken?
It's chicken piccata.
Ooh,
and
that
it's
looks
ready.
great. Let me tell you how good this chicken is.
Is it up there with the roast chicken?
You know, I used to think that roast chicken was the only thing I could have on Friday night. But this chicken piccata, this is just as good.
I thought I'd surprise Michael and Jim with a cake for their anniversary party. So it's 1 3/4 cup of flour. I'm gonna sift all the dry ingredients together. 2 cups of sugar. I'm gonna sift them right into the bowl, mixing bowl. And since it's chocolate cake with chocolate buttercream, it's got 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, dark chocolate cocoa powder. It smells so good, so chocolatey. Okay, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, helps it rise. 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to sift all these together. So the method of this cake is to sift all the dry ingredients together in a cloud of chocolate. And then I'm going to slowly mix the wet ingredients into it. Okay, that's the dry ingredients. I'm just going to mix them on the mixer until they're combined. Okay, now for the wet ingredients. The first thing is a cup of buttermilk. I always shake it because it does settle. Make sure it's well mixed. So I'm going to do it in a measuring cup. That'll be easier to pour into the cake batter. So I need 1 cup of buttermilk, half a cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs. Just beat the eggs a little bit. Right into the wet ingredients. I use extra large eggs. 1 teaspoon of good vanilla, really important when you're doing chocolate. Okay, I'm just gonna combine these. And then with the mixer on low, I'm just gonna put it into the dry mixture. And then I have a secret ingredient. Or I should say Michael's grandmother had a secret ingredient. This recipe calls for a cup of hot brewed coffee. And I always think coffee is really important for chocolate. It makes it taste really chocolatey, and that's exactly what this does. Right into the mixture. I've got 2 8-inch cake pans. I lined them with parchment paper, butter and flour. The pressure's on. It has to be good because Michael knows exactly what it is. He actually served this cake to me once at dinner, and I just begged him for the recipe. I didn't have to beg very hard. I'll make sure they're pretty equal size. Okay, into the oven, 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes, and then we're gonna cover it with the easiest, most delicious buttercream you've ever seen. So chop up 6 ounces of really good semi-sweet chocolate. I'm just gonna melt the chocolate in a bowl that I've set over simmering water. In the meantime, I'm going to start the rest of the buttercream. So I need 2 sticks of butter, half a pound, at room temperature. I'm just going to beat that on medium speed. Okay, the next thing I need is 1 extra large egg yolk and a teaspoon of good vanilla extract. Okay, I think the chocolate's going to be ready by now. Let's see. Take this off the heat and just let the chocolate cool while I turn the cakes out. Just add it to the butter and vanilla. So I've got 2 teaspoons of hot water. I'm just gonna put in a tablespoon of instant coffee powder, which is a very intense coffee. Just melt this together and pour it into the buttercream. And I'm just gonna whip it for a minute. Make sure it's really well blended. I'm gonna turn it on low and add all this gorgeous chocolate. The chocolate's actually cooled now a little bit. You don't want to pour hot chocolate into butter, otherwise the whole thing will melt. You can really smell the chocolate and the coffee together. A little hint of vanilla. And that's Michael's grandmother's chocolate buttercream. Icing a cake, just go over it very gently. Start from the top and work your way down the sides. Okay, so now I've got buttercream on all sides of the cake. I'm just gonna go up and down the sides. And good news about an old-fashioned cake is it's supposed to be a little messy. And then I'm just gonna smooth the top. I'm making linguine with shrimp scampi. It's a great summer dish. I add oil to the pasta pot so that the pasta doesn't stick together, and salt for flavor. Okay, that's going to cook for 7 to 10 minutes according to the directions on the package. Okay, that's 3 tablespoons of olive oil and about 3 tablespoons of butter. I do the olive oil because it has a high burning temperature, and the butter because it has lots of flavor. I know this looks like a lot, but it's the sauce for the entire dish. And about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic. With garlic, you really don't want to cook it too long, so just about a minute. There's nothing worse than the flavor of burnt garlic. So 1 minute while I get everything else ready. So the first thing is shrimp. And what I buy is peeled and deveined shrimp from the fish store. If you can't buy it, you can always peel and devein it yourself. I'm going to add a pound of shrimp and just cook it for a very short time, like 3 to 5 minutes. And all that flavor of the garlic is going to get into the shrimp. So first thing I'm going to do is salt and pepper the shrimp. I want it to have lots of flavor because when you add the pasta, the sauce has to flavor the pasta also. So it's going to be really strongly flavored. Just turn the shrimp so they cook evenly on both sides. It smells so good, all that garlic and butter and oil. How bad can that be? So just drain the water from it, and then it's going to go right into that pan with the shrimp and the garlic and butter and oil. It's going to absorb all that great flavor. Okay, just like that. 2 spoons. Just toss it all together. This is actually a great way to make any pasta. Italians do it. Even when you're making pasta with tomato sauce, as you cook the pasta and the sauce together for the last few minutes, and it really absorbs the flavor. Okay, and then the last ingredients are lemon zest, lemon juice, I like a little bit of heat, so just a sprinkling of red pepper flakes. Okay, just toss that together, and then I have 2 more things to put in. Parsley. Okay, right on top. And then, because I want you to know, you can't really see the lemon, but I want you to know it's lemon, what I do is a few thin slices of lemon. People aren't going to eat them, but they'll see that it's lemon. So I'm going to add a few slices of lemon to the whole thing before I finish its tossing. This is really a great summer lunch. It's no ordinary fried chicken sandwich. The chicken has a double crust, so it's really crispy. And the sauce is made with buttermilk and mayonnaise, so it's kind of tangy, and fresh herbs, so it's really fresh. So good. And then there are pickles involved. So I'm gonna make the sauce first. So I've got a cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk. I wanna be sure to shake it first, which I did. Just whisk it in. Teaspoon of white wine vinegar, just to give it a little tang. I'm going to whisk that together and then put in lots of fresh herbs. Okay, first the scallions. I need 2 tablespoons of sliced or chopped scallions, the white and the green parts. I think a lot of people use a knife by just doing it up and down, but it's really good to use the blade and have it sort of rock back and forth, and then you get the best use of it. And the scallions cut really cleanly. Okay, so 2 tablespoons, that's about 2 tablespoons. 1 tablespoon of minced chives. Got lots of onion flavor. I love chives. Okay, it's about 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of minced parsley. This recipe actually originally came from Shake Shack, which is Danny Meyer's fast casual hamburger restaurant. And what's interesting is I was thinking about making fried chicken with a double coating, but I'd never actually gotten around to doing it, and that's exactly what they do with the Shake Shack chicken. So I thought, I think I'll try that, and it was amazing. So 1 tablespoon of parsley, just stir it in. Okay, a little bit of thyme, all kinds of herbs in this. I'm just gonna strip it right in, just a little bit, give it another layer of flavor. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and that's it. So that's the herb mayonnaise. Now I'm going to show you the chicken, which I'm keeping warm in the oven. Wait till you see this. Now, how good does that look? Wow. Chicken inside is really tender and crispy outside. I'm going to tell you how I made it. This is the best. There are 4 tricks to the fried chicken. First, a great marinade with 2 cups of buttermilk. The acidity tenderized the chicken. 1 sliced shallot, 2 smashed garlic cloves, 1 halved jalapeno pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of pepper, all stirred together. I put the chicken in the marinade and coated it. It's 6 halved chicken breasts flattened to 1/2 inch, which tenderizes them and ensures that they cook evenly. Then I put them in the fridge for 8 hours for the marinade to get into the meat and to flavor it. Next, I made a flavorful coating mix. I added 4 teaspoons of baking powder to 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, along with 2½ teaspoons of smoked paprika, a teaspoon each of cayenne pepper, and celery salt, a tablespoon of kosher salt, 1½ teaspoons of black pepper, and whisk them all together. Then the third trick is that I double dip the chicken. I removed each piece of chicken from the marinade, dipped it in the flour, back into the marinade, and then back into the flour. and I promise this makes all the difference in the world. Then the fourth and final trick is how I cook it. I fry the chicken 3 pieces at a time. You don't want to overcrowd them. In 2 inches of oil, heat it to 350 degrees. I cooked them for 5 minutes, flipping them halfway through. Then, when they were deliciously crispy, I put them on a rack over a sheet pan and kept them warm in a 250-degree oven while I fried the second batch. I did exactly the same with the last 3 pieces. I took the fried chicken out of the oil, put it on the rack, sprinkled on some salt, and kept all the chicken warm in the oven. Those tricks really make a difference. Okay, now I'm going to put the sandwich together, which in the business is known as flavor build, as in where you put everything in the sandwich makes a difference in how it tastes. Bet you didn't know that. So first I'm going to take the hamburger bun. I'm using potato buns, which I think have great flavor. I toasted them a little, 300 degrees for about 10 minutes. Put sauce on the bottom. Next I'm going to put a piece of lettuce. I'm using Boston lettuce because it's really tender and delicious. Piece of lettuce. And then pickles. These are really good pickles, like 4 pieces of pickle. So it turns out where you put the pickle in the sandwich makes a difference in how it tastes. I don't know why the order makes a difference in how it tastes, but it just does. Okay, next is the chicken. Oops, look how good this is. Right on top, just barely fits. And then more sauce on the bun. And put that on top. And that's a Shake Shack chicken sandwich. And that one's got my name on it. Okay, that's one. I'm gonna make 5 more. Well, you can see why these are Jeffrey's favorite chicken sandwich. Mine too. And if you make them, they're gonna be your favorite chicken sandwich.